test? Wow.
I love it. Hit it while you have it, Brad.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the Board of Trustees regular meeting of the Washoe County School District to order on February 10th, 2026. It is 2 o'clock, 2:02 exactly. Opening items 1.02, roll call. Clerk Hull, can we have the roll, please?
Sure. Clerk Holt, present. President Mayberry.
Here.
Trustee Nicolette.
Good afternoon.
Trustee Phoenix.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Trustee Westlake. Here. Vice President Woodley.
Here.
And Student Trustee Maya Hartley. Here. All are present. We have a quorum.
Outstanding. Thank you, Clerk Hull. Item 1.03 is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask General Counsel Neil Rombardo, this is his last meeting, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Come on, get up.
Wait, who approved that?
Yeah, right. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 1.04 is our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Washoe County School District schools and communities are situated on the traditional homelands of the three major tribes of the Great Basin Native American peoples, including Northern Paiute, Washoe, and Shoshone tribes. We honor their ancestors, past and present, and recognize these lands as a continued gathering place for communities. We express our respect and our gratitude for the opportunity to live, work, and learn here in Nevada. Moving on to our consent agenda items. Item 2.01 is our approval of consent agenda items. This is a short meeting, colleagues. Should be anyways. Thought we'd give you a break given the meeting we had, our last meeting with the budget, and it was a lengthy meeting. So item 2.01 is approval of consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.04. I want to ask any trustees if there's any items they want to pull or discuss off the consent agenda for further discussion. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call for public comment on the consent agenda.
I have no cards for consent.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.04.
Mr. President, if I may. I move that the Board of Trustees approves consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.04.
And I second.
Got a motion to approve items, consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.04 from Vice President Woodley, second by Trustee Phoenix. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item 3, items for presentation, discussion, information, and/or action. Again, very short agenda. We have 3 items. We'll start with item 3.01 rather. It's a discussion, possible action for the Board of Trustees to affirm as both a board, individual trustees, the board's governance model, balance governance, the board policies and board protocols by practicing informed oversight and recognizing the board's delegation of daily operations to the superintendent is found in the 9,000 series of board policies, and in particular board policies 9050 and 9085. This will be presented by myself, Vice President Woodley, and joining us via Zoom is Dr. Thomas Salisbury. He's with us. Good afternoon, sir. Nice to see you.
Sorry about that. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, last time I saw you had a Seahawks jersey on, so congratulations.
I did. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so real quick, as I bring up this item, yeah, really quick, I don't have anything prepared, colleagues, to talk in particular, just some thoughts. I think the item is pretty straightforward. Since I've been on the board, since all of us, we've had a a governance model known as balanced governance that Dr. Alsbury has developed and has taught throughout the globe. Given some of our budget constraints, we have reduced some of our training on balanced governance and some of the things that we've done in the recent past. I've had some conversations with trustees, and they expressed some concern of perhaps abandoning balanced governance. And so this is really an opportunity to say, as long as I sit in this seat for the next remaining of my term, that balanced governance remains our governance model, and is critically important. It has worked. Balanced governance for me is, just to sort of use a little bit of an aviation analogy, it's this elected body governs at a higher altitude. Think of the passenger jets flying at 35,000 feet on autopilot. But that doesn't mean that as trustees that we're not monitoring the instruments, we're not checking the temperatures, ensuring our airspeed, our altitude, that we're straight, we're flying straight and narrow, but we're monitoring what's taking place. If we have to make course corrections occasionally, we'll do that. We scan the environment. If there's a head-on collision, sometimes we have to make some drastic changes, and we've had to do that through the course of our tenure here. It certainly doesn't mean that we don't ask the hard questions. It doesn't mean that we don't advocate for things that are important to us. But it is reaffirming that we do have a superintendent who is responsible for the day-to-day operations of this organization, and we serve as policymakers. And that was what was on my mind, just to simply affirm and ensure everybody as we go forward that this is an important method of governance. I know there's a lot to this. I know Trustee Woodley, Vice President Woodley, has a few thoughts as well. And then I'm going to turn the remainder of the time over to Dr. Alsbury for some brief comments. And if there's any other further discussion, we'll have that and we'll move on.
Yeah. Thank you, President Mayberry. Yes, as President Mayberry might recall, we had the discussion based on our previous contract that we had. As we were looking at our budget deficit, our concern was that we didn't want to be spending more money than we really needed to for the board itself when we're looking at making all these cuts throughout the district. So one of the requests that we had made was to reduce that contract, but we wanted to make sure that there was no impression left that we were deviating from balanced governance. And in the conversation I had with the president, I told him, well, we need to do more than just throw these words around. Let's physically commit to it, because it's easy to throw around any verbiage or any words and not really be committed to it. And to prove our commitment, I asked, what do you think if we bring it forward and we can all vote on it as a board together, and that we all buy into this and are committed to this as a board together, so that we all are on the same page. So we had that discussion, and that was one of the reasons why, just because we went away from the previous contract that was twice of what we actually approved. This was good. We really appreciate Dr. Alsbury. He was able to maneuver around and still gave us a good product so that we can continue this philosophy, this ideology, while still taking into consideration our financial status. So we appreciate that from Dr. Alsbury, and we appreciate that he's here with us today. But what we want to do is confirm and affirm that we are dedicated to balanced governance, and we want our teachers, our kids, and our community to all know that that's the board that we want to continue to be, is a balanced board and balanced governance. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. And it is about serving our students and our staff, and supporting our superintendent, who also has a role in balanced governance as well. Dr. Alsbury, I know we've talked recently, and what we want to kind of we wanted you to give us kind of a high-level overview of balanced governance, and we'll move on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the conversation and meeting that I had with the board officers as well. Um, in looking at this resolution, I don't have any problem with the resolution. I think it uses the language of balanced governance. It reflects that it's exactly what it says. It's balance. And so there's a role here for the board I call it informed oversight. There's also a role with the superintendent. So I wanted to just reinforce that balanced governance is not just a governance model for the board. It's a partnership. The whole theory behind balanced governance is about the relationship between the board and the superintendent, and also the roles of the board and the roles of the superintendent, and having a clear understanding of those roles and working together with each other. And that's what we see effective boards do. So I'm also happy that the board is willing to take a stand like this, take the position and go have a resolution of this type. I also wanted to say that I'm very much aware that budgetary matters can pop up periodically, which it causes adjustments in this, and also that I think that's fine. I want to say that I've had boards in the past that have gotten into some budget challenges and other things, and we've delayed for a year with an evaluation, and I think that's fine. I would encourage the board, again, to keep thinking about this as you move forward in future years. I would say that you do want to come back and do a board evaluation that includes an external evaluation piece to it as well. I think that's always a good thing. And there are certain parts of the balanced governance process that do require a third party outside individual, because everybody else has a stake in the game that's there in the district. So aside from that, though, I'm supportive of this, and I've always been expressed that I've been willing to work with the Washoe board and with any of the boards that I've worked with to try to make this work for them from a financial perspective as well. And by the way, I've had conversations with other districts. As you guys know, I currently am working with 4 districts total in Nevada, and I've certainly entertained conversations that have come to me from the Nevada School Board Association on the possibility of them having discussions, at least. I don't know if it'll go any further than that, but of the association adopting balanced governance. Doing then that would allow for some of the training, like for new board members, to be delivered, say, at the annual conference, where they would invite me to do the training, and that would save the individual districts from having to hire me or contract with me individually. And I think there's some creative ways that we can approach it so that the board still has access to balanced governance and to the training without having to necessarily individually do it all separately. The one thing that I want to say too is that my interest is not in permanently having contracts with districts forever and ever. And someday I'm going to be retiring as well. Of course, you guys know I have a predecessor coming up to take over for me, but it's also not her intention to do that either. But is also equally, we feel very strongly that we want the integrity of balanced governance to be maintained. So that's certainly why I would have an interest in the board maintaining a relationship with balanced governance with the company, so that because not just anyone can do the training for balanced governance. I want to protect the model, make sure that somebody doesn't come along, and there have been, by the way, some folks that have come along and claimed that they teach balanced governance or train in balanced governance, and they do not. And so of course, I have an interest in maintaining the integrity of the model. But aside from that, I'm happy to work with the district and happy that you're making a commitment to the model.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate that. Comments, questions from, yes, Trustee Nicolette?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Dr. Ellsbury. I'm going to go
Hi,
back and have a little history here. We can't make this decision today, but I'm throwing out a very heart and deep experienced thought. Is if you look at page 3 at the revision history, October 2016 is when we really created 9085, and it came from balanced governance. We replaced that with 9008, and it was really formulated to embrace balanced governance. And so my thought is, when we're talking about training and we're talking about new trustees and seated trustees, I think it will behoove us to begin to review these policies, because even for me, I was an appointee at that time, so I was part of that team. Very proud to have been a part of that team. It was a lot of work. But it's time, I believe, to review these policies so that we can put a fresh view on them. That's, wow, 11 years ago. So it's time for us, not quite 9, it's time for us to review these and really understand what these particulars mean, because from a 30,000-foot view, balanced governance, it's hard to argue with it. When you get down into really understanding the nuances, I think there's some productive discussions to be had. And I think in the future we should look to have those as we revise some of these governance policies. Thank you. And nice to see you again.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Nicolette. Trustee Smith?
Thank you. Very similar to Trustee Nicolette. This was a fun walk down memory lane. I met balanced governance in the summer of 2021 when there were unexpectedly 2 opportunities to join the board through the appointment process. And back in those days, President Dr. Angie Taylor brought Dr. Ellsbury in, and this whole room was filled with people that wanted to learn about balanced governance so that they could be prepared and consider whether or not to submit an application for the 2, soon to be 3, seats available on the board, although we did not know that at the time. So it was, I love this item, and I was really very, very glad to see it. It brought me down memory lane, and so many of the reasons why I try to live balanced governance. Balanced governance is the reason why, and I don't know if she's going to tell this story, that Trustee Westlake and I originally sat down and had coffee when we were on very opposite sides of life before her joining the board, but it was the inspiration of balanced governance and really living these principles why we even got together to have that coffee to begin with. So on that note, just something that's important to me is that when I read this item, and having had half a decade now nearly of training on balanced governance, one thing that I would at least like to say out loud, I would prefer if we evolve the motion to include in service to our students and community, because balanced governance is not about the 8 of us that sit at this dais, and I include the superintendent with that. It's a model that we follow, but the reason is because this is a data-driven, research-confirmed method for maximizing student achievement, and that's why we do it. Our students are at the center of this, and so I love that we're doing this. I'm excited to vote on recommitting ourselves to it, but I just want to orient this group around the fact that we do this, not just for us, not just for the superintendent, but it is because this is the way that it has been proven in many states and in many countries to improve outcomes for kids. So I'm going to just throw it out there right now. I would really love if we evolve the motion to include in service to our students and community, because I think it's really important to anchor ourselves back to that point. The other thing that's important for me to share about balanced governance is that, you know, like any table, it doesn't just have one leg. It's not just going to stand on the one leg. And that's really where the informed oversight really comes in. Balanced governance, and when I vote for this, I realize it's not in the motion, but we have the characteristics of balanced governance, we have the standards, and then we have the approaches. And within the approach is really where you get to informed oversight and, of course, the delegation of daily operations to the superintendent. But it's more than just that informed oversight. You have the characteristics that you really have to follow and take into your heart and constantly be looking at the way that you're showing up and where you are on this spectrum. The same thing with the standards that are hard. So, for example, on the most recent board evaluation, we actually scored highly effective in the area of disengaged versus overreaching. We did, just on the evaluation we got last summer. So what we're calling out in this motion is something that we were rated highly effective on. And there were other areas that we did need to work on, like making sure that we're doing direct inquiry, versus management inquiry. And these things are hard. Being as someone that helped create the agenda for 3 years, I know that this isn't easy. So what I would ask of my colleagues is that when we think about this motion, it's not just the informed oversight, but also those characteristics and those standards that we really have to follow. So when we vote on that, I just want to make sure that I have it on the record that following balanced governance is not just the one approach of informed oversight, but really how we all show up in this role together. And we do this in service to our students and community. So, thank you.
Okay, well said. Thank you, Trustee Smith. Any other comments before I go to public comment? Yes, Trustee Westlake.
Thank you, President Mayberry. So I'm glad that we are bringing this forward and making a statement by putting it on the agenda. I would like to tell the story, and then I do have just a minor concern. Honestly, balanced governance is why my colleague, Beth Smith, when I reached out for coffee, and I honestly was just reaching out, trying to feel the waters, so to speak, but in her heart, knowing that the work is important for our students and our families, she was willing to meet with me, and to bury the hatchet, so to speak, and mostly on my part, if not all, ugly things that were said. But she wanted to get to know me and also to talk about kids, to, open her heart to me and let me know how important being a trustee is in representation and support of our children and our families. So I too would like something about that said. The only other thing, and I'd already told Superintendent Ernst this in our meeting today, and I want it absolutely crystal clear that this has nothing to do with my respect for him, my willingness to work with him. I enjoy that. I can't think of a better superintendent to carry out the things that we need to be getting done for our kids and for our families, and I do trust him. The only thing is that this is an agenda, this is public record. We have 9085 stating, which we're supposed to all be following the policies, and I admit sometimes I don't do it to the best that I possibly could, but it's there, 9085. For one, I feel like I'm being painted into a corner a little bit, because saying no to this item would make it look like I am against balanced governance, of which I am not at all. I think it is imperative that we have this. I think it's imperative that we delineate what the responsibilities would be for the superintendent and what his job is, what our job is, but it's spelled out in 9085. To make my long story short, my issue is that in this particular agenda item, it's basically having us swear fealty to the superintendent, and it's already stated here. And my thing is when I vote for something, which I feel being painted into a corner, I am going to need to vote for this because it's important for me to come out and say I am for balanced governance. But the problem is attaching to it, pork, if you will, is that we're basically swearing allegiance to the superintendent. It's already lined out in 9085. And I would love to just vote cleanly for balanced governance and not the fealty part to the superintendent, which is already constructed in 9085. And I don't know, maybe I'm grinding this down too much, but it is important to me that it be cleaner in that respect. We already have something. I don't necessarily understand why we have to vote on it as an agenda item when we already at some point voted on 9085, stating exactly that. This is what we are giving our superintendent. This is what we should be doing. It just doesn't seem right. It seems like it's added on and not necessary. And it quite frankly makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Trustee Westlake. Clerk Hull.
Thank you, President Mayberry. I guess I just need some clarification from Trustee Westlake. And let me share my perspective on this. I think everybody knows that I'm a government teacher. And when I first met with Dr. Alsbury, I said, oh, this is like the checks and balances of our U.S. Constitution. It just seemed very apparent to me that if you want to make comparisons to branches of government, that we're like Congress, we create the policies, and then the superintendent/president puts them into action. That's how our Constitution is set up. And then there are bodies who check those to make sure that they're, that's why we have legal counsel and all that. So to me, that is still what's within these policies. I don't feel that there's a change in that. It's just, to me, when I read this item, it was more just a reassurance that we were in fact still committed to operating as though we have a system of checks and balances. And I guess the word balance is something that really strikes me as one of the most important pieces of balanced governance is that piece. So my question for you is where are you seeing that there is any sort of like swearing allegiance in here? I'm not seeing it, so I'm just curious how you're seeing it. Yes.
No, not in 9085, no.
But the motion you feel like does.
Well, I'm just what I was reading, and it wasn't the 9085. It was.
Okay.
I should have written down the exact paragraph or whatever. But it just seems like I do too like the checks and balances. That's the whole point of balanced governance. But there was some verbiage in here that I think was worked in, and we already have basically the policy here,
okay.
The 9085. And so I think it could just be cleaner. It just could be cleaner that we agree on balanced board governance, and 9085 outlines that.
Okay.
So I'm not in disagreement with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
no, this is the checks and balances.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
I need to try and find that.
I would just say that 9000 series really under the board's balanced governance policies, and we're required to comply with all the policies. And so, I mean, it was just the intent to affirm that. It really, I don't know how easier to state that. I don't think we're being boxed in a corner. We're not swearing allegiance. It's just that the policies support balanced governance, and that's why we have them. If it's something we want to take up in the future, we could do that. JJ, do we have any public comment?
Kaylin Evans.
President Evans, nice to see you, sir.
Hi, Kalen Evans, president of the Washoe Education Association. And just briefly, I want to emphasize just the importance of engaged trustees. We have seen much of the positive impacts in our districts because this board has actively stayed engaged. And the superintendent appropriately leads the day-to-day operations, and just emphasizing that trustees play such a critical role in asking questions, right, staying actively engaged, and just exercising independent judgment on behalf of the community and those that elect you. And so that engagement strengthens the decision making, and that engagement helps support Superintendent Ernst in doing a successful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, Trustee Westlake, and then we'll go to Trustee Smith, I think. Yeah, okay, that's okay. Okay, you had talked about perhaps adding some language in the motion. Do you want to
Yes,
propose that?
my request would be to conclude it with in service to our students and community, because I would like us to anchor this practice and why we do it, and balanced governance at the end of the day is a data-driven approach for student achievement. So that's what my request would be to conclude it with in service to our students and community.
Okay. Would you like to read that motion for the record? And we'll see if we have a second.
Absolutely. I admit I wasn't entirely sure where we landed the most recent part of the conversation just now, but I can go ahead and take a stab at it. Okay. I'm not exactly, okay. I'll just go ahead and make a motion and we'll see where we're at with that. I move that the Board of Trustees recognizes and commits to following as both a board and individual trustee the board's governance model, balanced governance, the board's policies, and board protocols by practicing informed oversight and recognizing the board's delegation of daily operations to the superintendent as found in the 9000 series of board policies, in particular board policies 9050 and 9085, in service to our students and community.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion from Trustee Smith, a second by Vice President Woodley. Any further discussion?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, yes, please, Trustee Blatt.
I just want to ensure that I like that addition, speaks to me. In service to students and community. Community, I'm going to assume, means all of our employees as well. Okay, all right.
It most certainly does. It most certainly does. And I will explain, if we can have discussion on the motion, Mr. President. The reason why I didn't say staff is because I do want to respect the delegation of operations to the superintendent. So when I say community and all the people we serve, I consider that to be everyone else outside of the enrolled students that we have here. But that is very deliberately why I did that. And I made that motion because I wasn't entirely sure what the interest would have been to make other changes, but that's what discussion on the motion is for, but that's my motion for now.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's dialogue. I appreciate where you're coming from, Trustee Westlake. We have a motion, a second. Seeing no further discussion, I'm going to call for the question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that discussion. I appreciate it very much. Dr. Ellsbury, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your time, and have a great day. We look forward to seeing you here in May.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, and I did want to leave you with just one congratulations, is that Washoe, over the history of the time, working with balanced governance, as you've stated today, has been successful, and so successful, in fact, that other of your districts in the state of Nevada are taking your policies, if you didn't know, and adopting them. Carte blanche. I'm working with districts right now, and they discussed, well, we need to revise our policies, and in the end, the decision was there's no sense in us trying to rewrite our own policies. Let's just take Washoe's policies and make them ours by changing the name. And I think that's a real compliment to your policies and your procedures and that you have used with balanced governance. So congratulations for that.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move on. Item 3.02, this is the thrust of this short meeting. This is our mid-year check on the status of targets for the annual contractual requirement for the performance of our Superintendent Joe Ernst. Just to recap a few things, in the past, we have also used this time to select targets for the upcoming school year, and we're gonna pause that, and we're gonna push that to May. I think it'll be a lot easier for all of us to sort of think about that as we kind of separate the two, upcoming performance targets, contrast to the targets that we're talking about today. And then, so as a midterm that we're going to talk about today, then we will evaluate these at the end of the year in October of 26, and that'll be your annual evaluation, right? So having said that, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Ernst.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we'll go through the targets that were selected. As a reminder for everybody, these 5 evaluation targets were selected last February. Each of these targets were a part of the 24-25 evaluation. And you'll note up there that we have made strong progress, and I'll put these just kind of in an abbreviated form. The first target is around P5 foundational learning. I look forward to talking about the progress that we've made in that area. We also, the second target is really about increasing extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities for students. We're seeing some real encouraging progress in that area. Improving physical safety is target 3 among a couple of other areas. Target 4 is really about strengthening recruitment and retention throughout the entire organization, and we've made real progress in that area. And then number 5 is about expanding advanced coursework and opportunities for our students. So the first one, and there's a lot of text there, and that's intentional just to really bring it into context and show the progress that's being made. But what I will do is just narrow it down to what I think are 3 key areas. One is the progress that's been made around the science of reading. We have really been committed as an organization to professional learning. A number of years back, there was a pretty good pause due to some disruptive factors in our world around professional learning. And what we have been able to do is really make an effort to provide high-quality professional learning for staff. Now, as a reminder, Science of Reading is over 60 hours of training over 2 years for our teachers. So it's a significant investment that our teachers make. To give a little more background, our state has also adopted requirements to now have districts do the Science of Reading professional learning. And so we've been a bit in front of that. And what you can see is that this is uniformly regarded by our teachers as the highest quality professional learning in their careers. And that says a lot. It really is around foundational reading, make sure that we are solidifying those aspects and kind of moving from there. In the first semester this year, we have trained over 160 additional teachers, and now we're close to a total of 600 of our educators. Now, just outside, this is a P5 strategy, but recognizing student achievement in our middle schools, we have also really made a concerted effort to now bring the science of reading up into our middle schools and have done training in that area. So again, these are really foundational literacy practices, and again, what we have seen is historic gains in our student achievement. Plenty more to do, but we have seen some significant student gains. The second part on this is around attendance. And attendance has been really a focus that we have had as a school district the past couple of years. It's intuitive when we increase attendance of our students. Our teachers, our educators will tell you that they can help students learn all that they need. Relative to the P5 area, what we have seen is kindergarten typically can be the highest grade in elementary school with absenteeism. And what we have seen over the first semester is we are now just under 11% with chronic absenteeism with our kindergarten students. We also know that the habits that our kindergarten students develop are habits that they take with them. There are some predictive factors when we look at attendance in kindergarten and habits that stay as they go through. So we've made some concerted efforts in that area and progress. And when I say we, there's a number of people in the audience and our community that have really helped push these efforts forward. We have engaged in extensive marketing campaigns and education for our kindergarten families. And really it has been an entire community effort. We have celebrated Strengthen Our Community, their efforts and their work, but really this has been so many different people working together. We saw last year that we made improvements in attendance across over 70% of our schools, and we continue to see some good signs this year. The third part of this is really centered on our new math curriculum. So we have made a real effort to adopt high-quality instructional materials. And this year we have implemented a new curriculum. What you'll see with some of the data are some encouraging signs. Again, always so much work in front of us. But you're looking for signs of progress and being responsive where and when needed. So the math curriculum implementation, we've really tried to not go with a one-and-done professional learning. Here's your new textbook. Have a great year. We're here to help when you need it. No, this has been on a monthly basis, making sure that we're working with capacity builders in our schools to make sure that as our teachers are using these materials, we're gaining insights from them about how to most effectively use these materials and then design professional learning in accordance with that. So what you can see are a couple of areas. These figures are mid-year scores with iReady. We look at them in comparison with last year. Again, when I talk about science of reading, where you can see that we've made some more progress is in the areas of kindergarten and first grade. Again, we are trying to build foundational literacy practices to make sure our kids become lifelong readers and lifelong learners. You can also see with math, and this was a sign that we wanted to pay a lot of attention to. Typically, when you adopt a new textbook series, historically, you can have declines in the overall achievement. A lot of them will call that implementation dip. Well, what we're pleased with in the kind of ongoing conversation between curriculum and instruction and our teachers is that mid-year compared to last year, we see progress across all K-5 areas. So that's an encouraging sign. We also talked about in the evaluation earlier this year about a call to improving math learning for our students. We're certainly making an effort to do that. The target 2 is around clubs and activities. And what we have here is we looked at building a tracking system, and this is no easy task. And when I say we, again, there are many people in our audience that are here today that are so responsible for leading, developing these efforts, and making sure that we're having traction and we're following through on them. One of these was a tracking system to make sure that we were understanding every student and what club or activity they were participating in. Because what we were looking for is looking for a connection between that and their absenteeism and their achievement. And we've got some encouraging signs. What we see is that at this time last year, after the first semester, we had already expanded from about 100 to 300 clubs and activities in the first half of the year last year. This year, at the same point in time, we're now up to 400 clubs and activities. Remember, last year we concluded just under 500. There's great work that has been done historically in this area around slot pay, a commitment from our Board of Trustees around recognizing how important this is, recognizing that our teachers often are leading these efforts. We also have expanded our soccer league. We got a lot of interest in that last year. And we have now 53 schools with over 1,300 of our students participating. Being a lifelong coach and athlete, this is very near and dear to my heart because I think sports has a lot of redeeming values, and it's wonderful to see students having opportunities to participate. One of the things that our accountability team, did I go on? Excuse me. One of the things our accountability team has looked at was the connection between club participation. And as they can probably more eloquently state, what we see is that when we control for all factors, we are seeing improved attendance and academic outcomes when students are getting into extracurricular clubs and activities before, during, after school. And we're seeing some, what is described as really a good progress in this area. When we continue to look forward, how do we keep advancing this work? Well, we are very fortunate. We're going to bring forward lots more information. But we received a substantial donation from the Guillemot Foundation that we plan to highlight in more depth here coming up in April. But $1.3 million towards a middle school drone program. And so when we talk about doing great things for our students, this falls in that category. So we're very excited to advance that work. And so I'll go on to safety, target 3. So this one is about, we broke it into 2 parts because we see this as, that there's 2 parts to this. There's the teacher side, there's the physical side, and maybe the social, emotional side of things. On the physical side of things, what you can see is that we have made marked decreases in assaults and batteries. And I'm very pleased with this because this has been a call from our teachers. This has been a call from our community. And what we are seeing is significant decreases in these areas. And as an organization, you're trying to always identify what are maybe some of the leading factors around this. Well, I think some of the professional learning that is occurring in this area is really helping equip our educators and our administrators moving towards more preventative techniques as opposed to just intervention after a behavior occurs. We have put new in-dash cameras in emergency radios from school police. As a reminder, we now have more school police than we've had before in our organization because we're committed to physical safety. This is a strong responsibility that we have to our students and to our community. The single points of entry. You can see 9 single points of entry and 5 single perimeter fencing projects. And all of this is happening within our facilities team as we are modernizing buildings, looking at repurposing buildings. And yet we're still seeing this commitment to this physical safety side of things. So that's what I would say in that area. And then on the other side, you can look at, see increased educator sense of safety. And I think it's really encouraging. And again, we had the highest participation rates amongst our staff on the staff climate survey last year, and way more even this year. And so that's an encouraging sign that people are willing to lean in and provide that feedback. I hope that it's deepening trust. We're going to keep our eyes out for some new requirements from the Nevada Department of Education around surveys and maybe expectations that they have, but I'm encouraged because these allow for some anonymity from our educators. And what we see, 9 in 10 of staff feeling safe at schools and declines in problematic behaviors. And so attendance, let's get better at attendance. Let's make sure our students are behaving. And let's make sure they're learning foundational understandings. Those are going to help improve academic outcomes. So you can see how the parts fit together. Again, when I look at professional learning, 35 schools were identified or they self-selected to do intensive training and coaching on behavior systems. So we want to move from just responding to individual behaviors to setting up strong systems in buildings that support behavior from the time a student arrives to the time they leave. And then certainly when there are situations that extend beyond the school day, how do we address those as well? So you can see the professional learning. Our deans, assistant principals, and principals receiving extensive training on the new behavior manual and bullying. And again, what you may notice here is that on top of all of that, it's important to know that we as a district offer no fewer than 26 types of training on behavior prevention. And so we're really working hard in this area. It's an important and fundamental aspect to what we're doing for our students. Just to put some numbers to it, you can see the first one, safety, and again, that is around staff perceptions around safety in the buildings at 91%. And you can see, I want people to understand higher numbers are better. Sometimes the way questions are asked can throw people off. So the higher the number, the better the score. You can see 79% improvement with that agree that student misbehaviors like fights or other conflicts with staff are a problem. So our teachers, our educators are seeing progress in this area. And again, I think it's an investment and a focus, and that investment is around professional learning. As a lifelong educator and teacher myself, an administrator, this is an important area, and there's a lot to learn in how to do it most effectively. And our team has really been committed to doing that. Target 4 is staffing. What we know is that when we get high-quality educators in front of our students, that's going to improve academic outcomes. And we continue to see reduced vacancy rates down to 3.42, reflecting really a strong commitment to our recruiting strategies. And there's been a lot of work done in our district to ensure we have a strong pipeline of educators across every classroom, building, and department. And so pipelines are not just on the teacher side of things, they're on the curriculum and instruction side of things. We have been working in space that has not previously been by developing succession plans to retain institutional knowledge, to make sure that when folks are at the end of their career, they are able to pass along 20 years of experience that they've had in the position and work to do some cross-training over 4 to 5 months' time to really help retain that institutional knowledge and help the person in that position that's new to that position really be able to have a successful start in it. I will tell you this, when you look at more budget information across our state, we're thrilled that even in the midst of a budget crisis, and I remind everybody that it's been over 2 years, approximately $25 million worth of cuts, that even in the midst of that, we were still able to secure COLAs for our administrators, our certified staff, through newly negotiated agreements. And I think that's a tremendous commitment that we have to the people who are doing the work. We've increased principal retention. And this is, you're looking for stabilizing factors. The more turnover you get, the more change you get, that can lead to some undesired outcomes. So the team has been really looking at, we developed, looking at our principal retention, and what we're trying to do is create a culture that people want to join. And what we have been able to try to do, always work to do, so please, everyone who has a chance to listen, realize we never arrive. We are going to strive to get better and better. We are committed to continuous improvement. It is one of our guiding principles. But we're working to define how we operate as a school district. It's grounded in our guiding principles. And we're seeing that people from outside the organization are wanting to join the organization. We're seeing people in the organization desiring to take a next step forward towards advancement and new opportunities. And so what we saw last year, 45 academic achievement awards this past year. Lots of credit to our communications team, because by pushing this information out to our community, to potential employees, it gives them a sense of the progress that we're being made. And so, and then really one of the core pillars in the strategic plan is elevating educators. So we've featured the hard work of our educators prominently, both to honor their immense efforts, but also help attract more teachers to come into this work. Later today, during Superintendent Highlights, I'll be able to share one of the Class Impact Awards that we have recently celebrated. Advanced coursework, you can see the numbers here. I think it does beg a couple of questions, but you can see that we have had incredible momentum in dual enrollment, with more students this year enrolling in these opportunities than last fall. And we're very grateful for our NSHE partnerships to expand these opportunities further. And we're very grateful for our teachers because we're dependent to be able to expand some of these opportunities for our students. It requires our teachers being willing to teach dual enrollment courses. So we've seen progress in that area. I think the other thing that's worth highlighting is we've seen huge gains in internship presentation. We've just had a board presentation recently about the number of internships, so practical experience on the job for our students, taking what's learned in the books and the classes and bringing it out into the real world to try to help ground some of that learning. And so we're real pleased with that. And then one thing that might be noticed, there is a decline in overall participation of students in advanced courses. So you, I'm sure, all noticed that when you looked at it. And those are around CTE, AP, and IB. And there's some pull and tug in that space. This decline is equal to or slightly less than the overall decline in total high school enrollment. So there's a couple of things there is what we're pointing to, is that there's the desire for dual enrollment, but we had a 2.2 percentage point drop in advanced course participation versus 2.6 percentage point drop in overall high school enrollment. So there's a couple of things that we try to get. So we try not to just leave those numbers and just not look at them in detail. We're always trying to make sense of those. Again, we've highlighted the massive expansion in the aviation programming. Really good work. I know that's near and dear to many of your hearts. And so we've made some nice progress in that. So you can see, again, the overall total around advanced course participation. So those are the 5 targets that were selected for my evaluation in February. They were an extension of the previous evaluation. And if you have any questions, be happy to answer those or anything along those lines.
Thank you, Superintendent Ernst. Yeah, we'll open this up for questions, comments.
I have one.
Trustee.
So good job on all of that presentation as it's laid out. Just listening throughout the year, you just see the progress as it's gone along, not just showing numbers here at the very end. We've seen it as we've progressed every meeting, every update, everything that we've all talked about. So all that's it's huge. And so I appreciate kind of telling the story, as I would say it, how we marked our success. And so looking ahead, I know that we have budget constraints coming ahead, and we have things to really consider, to be able to sustain these things that we're doing. So I just want to put that out there and not say you have a plan in detail what we're going to do about it, but just maybe if you had any comments about that, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Phoenix. I think it's a really important question, and I appreciate you raising it. So we've talked about the budget cuts, again, $25 million over the past 2 years. And these are very difficult decisions. And our team has put a great deal of thoughtful analysis in. Our board has made courageous decisions in these areas. One of the things that we have been able to hang on to are what we have identified as priorities. And so in our strategic plan, we've called out a value and a commitment towards our clubs and activities. No cuts in that area. We looked at our collaborative schools, the ways that we are supporting our 1- and 2-star schools. And last year, we decreased the number of 1-star schools. We cut it in half, went from 24 down to 12. So that was really good. This year, in the backdrop of our budget cuts, we made no cuts in these areas. We were able to continue these same supports. So the reason I address it that way is because, they talk about looking at budget and it being a reflection of priorities. Well, we have been able to keep our priorities and not have any impacts to schools in terms of cuts that have been made. When you look across our state right now, you maybe see some different approaches to that. But we have really worked hard to limit impact of these cuts on our schools. So we want to continue with this progress. Are the challenges real? They are. The challenges are very real. Do we have just incredible educators that are so dedicated to doing great things for students? Yeah. And if we continue to work together as a team and we stay focused on the identified priorities, then I think we'll continue to see return on investment like we've seen over the past couple of years.
So just to follow up with that, thank you for that response. I appreciate that. That kind of spells it out that we're sticking to our plan and we're moving along, even though we have these budget cuts coming. But I also wanted to let the staff know, thank you for everything that you guys do. And I appreciate you because that's where all the work comes from. Being a former staffer, I know what it's like. So I just want to tell you, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Phoenix. Superintendent, I have just a couple quick questions for you. You touched on single point entry. That's very positive news. I mean, I think that by the time this school year is done, all of our schools will have single point entry. Is that correct?
Very best case circumstances, no later than the start of next school year.
Got it, okay.
So we're right in that space.
And then on the CTE side, when I think of the CTE programs, I think of the signature programs, Spanish Springs, sports medicine. Reed has, similar programs, business and marketing. All of our high schools have a lot of these CTE programs. I'm just surprised that there's, even though our enrollment's down, I'm surprised that CTE programs are down. Is there a way to crystallize that a little bit?
There is. So I think, allocations are school by school. They get to make choices on how they choose to use these allocations. And often we're trying to protect core content classes and make sure that we have enough sections to decrease numbers of students. And sometimes when schools are looking at allocations, unfortunately, this can be an area that is looked at by schools when they're looking at the overall master instructional schedule. So it's something for us to be paying attention to and committed, because at the very same time, we have incredible interest in CTE programming. We see it as a very important area of work. We will continue to look at opportunities as we are going forward, because, as you're pointing out, knowing there's a need and a demand and seeing the interest amongst our students and the immediate application they have with some of these skills after high school, it's really an important area. So there are a couple of pieces in there that we're paying attention to, and we don't want to see those numbers go down because we know that we have a lot of interest. At the same time, where we've had that, in other cases, AACT, Debbie Smith Academy, we've actually expanded by 12 to 16 academies. So you're getting some of that in the system, but we're definitely paying attention to the importance of CTE learning.
Okay, I appreciate the candor. I really do. The sky's not falling at all. I mean, it was a slight decrease. I was just surprised given the popularity and the importance of that and the emphasis we put on it. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, President Mayberry. So really well done, Superintendent Ernst. I would like to riff off of what President Mayberry just said as a suggestion, because when I look at this slide, this is the way I interpreted it, is we know, okay, I wouldn't say we know. I hear very much that there continues to be a lot of interest around concurrent enrollment. So as I see AP and IB going down a bit, but I see concurrent enrollment increasing. So I don't know if I just naturally was interpreting that because I hear this. So a suggestion may be to somehow represent this together, because I have a feeling, maybe you could confirm it, that as concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment grows in interest, some of that coursework is just moving over and it's reaching new students. Is my assumption right in that regard?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Because I do continue to hear that. So again, really, really well done. A particular point of praise that I'd like to offer here is the way that you and the team have really leaned into the feedback and the ideas that have come forward, both independently from the board and then also through associations. In particular, we've got the clubs and activities with the slot pay. We know that that was something that our labor associations felt really passionate about. You and your executive team took that to heart and really ran with that as well. That's an example of working together in the partnership. Same thing with this board. We ask for our analyses every year. No standalone principles. This board also took the behavior manual a few years ago straight off of consent and then turned it into, Dr. Lamarca, I'm sure, still remembers that. But look at how well you and your team have embraced this and grown it and taken it to its next level. And I think that this is a fantastic representation of the partnership that happens. And I want to thank you for that very, very much, you and your team. And then finally, I do have a question around the surveys. So the staff climate survey, I think I understand how that works fairly well. Do we do any sort of baseline survey for our team members that are not educators or school-based professionals? Like, is there a baseline survey for other staff outside of that? Okay, that's it. That was my question. Very well done. Thank you.
Okay. Clerk Hall.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask some clarification around the CTE enrollment. So just so that I can wrap my brain around it, because we opened a new school this year, so we should have seen an increase in that. But what I'm hearing you say is that the decrease was more related to the availability of classes at our traditional high schools, and so it wasn't that opening a new school. I mean, because 776 kids can potentially go there, and I know there's about 600 at AACT, and I know from both of the principals at those schools that they had over 2,000 applications. Granted, some of them were the same kids applying for both schools, but still a large interest in those schools. So the decrease was most likely at our traditional schools, and that really had to do with the availability of class space.
And the use of teacher allocations.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So something for us to consider how we make sure we're allocating that, because the interest is there, I think, from the kids regardless. So that's really interesting. Thank you for that clarification.
Trustee Nicolette.
Thank you. Absolutely, the interest is there, and that's the exciting part, and I know we'll figure it out. So I want to lean into this a little differently, because you are very eloquent at bringing your team into this work with the data, and you use "we" a lot, as you should. I would like to hear from you, Superintendent Ernst, how you feel about your performance on your level. Of course it's about the we. You couldn't do it alone, and we couldn't do it alone, and so thank goodness we're together. How about your performance? What do you think really worked in your style, and what do you hope to have happen in the next couple months?
Well, thank you, Dr. Nicolette, for the question. Well, I'll try to get to it, but it might take me a bit to get all the way there. First, when we do say we, it is about we. Just really good people, given a commitment and given absolutely their best morning, noon, night, 5 o'clock in the morning, Saturdays, Sundays. You have people that are so unbelievably committed and dedicated. And that's leadership, that's principals, that's teachers, that's bus drivers, that's everybody in our system plays a role. I do think when you're able to name priorities and have discipline to stay focused on them, make the main thing, and really try not to chase all of the other priorities that come our way, I think that the team has really done a really good job of that. As a leader, I really try to empower people. You have great people out there that know more in their area than probably all of us up here combined. And it's about empowering them to do the work. And knowing that mistakes are going to be made, you're going to try to do the very best that you can. When you make a mistake, own it, try to learn from it, and try to get better as a result. But don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important concept to hang on to because, they've heard me say you can't steal second with a foot on first. And I think it's easy to start getting reactive in education. And I just want to continue to empower our people and make sure that we continue to exercise good strategic thinking around the whole of things, that leads to strong execution. The execution has, been an area that I think is always one that we want to be looking at. And it's one thing to have really good ideas and good plans, but the more challenging aspect is executing on those plans and monitoring and building accountability to make sure that we're making progress on them, but doing it together, doing it in a fair way, those types of things. And those are some of the things that I think as a leader, I'm very proud of the work. I will tell you, just as far as the way that I am, I don't think you ever arrive. I think you're always working to get improvements, and so I'm proud of the progress. We've seen historic gains in our academic outcomes. We've seen improvements in absenteeism. We've seen improvements in behaviors. So I'm really proud of that. And then we just have still so much more work to do in front of us. So that's how I'd respond to that.
Yeah, he told you it'd take him a little while to get there.
So everybody, that we is very much needed, huh?
Trustee Westlake, you had your light on.
Thank you, President Mayberry. I too wanted to say thank you to the superintendent and to his team. It's hard to execute an idea. I mean, ideas kind of just flow, everyone's always coming up with an idea, and can we try this, can we try that, what do you think about this? But to execute those ideas and to see them through, and I think that's kind of a consistent thing I'm seeing here. There was an idea, the execution, but we just keep sticking. It's like Novocaine. Sometimes, the first shot's not going to work, but you just keep going with it, because it's probably very easy to, like you said, you get scared and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is, and the next thing you know, you're on to something else. But this is a lot of dedication, commitment, and staying true to the plan. Just keep with the plan, but seeing the results and the improvement, I mean, that's also empowering. That really makes me feel good, and it boosts confidence, and your hard work is really appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Vice President Woodley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So from the very start, I see these increasing numbers. Reading, math. Some of these numbers, they look at first sight like small numbers, +1, +2. But these are significant. These are percentages. These are hundreds, thousands of our kids. This is very positive. The fact that we increased our clubs and activities, also positive. We found out there is a direct correlation, as we anticipated, with regards to the clubs and the attendance and the chronic absenteeism. Positive. Once again, there's so much positivity here, and I agree with my colleagues. Yes, this is from your hard work, from your executive staff's hard work, and also from our principals and our teachers that are doing all this hard work, which leads me to one of our other targets, which is staffing, which I'm very grateful that even though we were dealing with, I think you said it was 25 million deficit the last 2 years, we're all very appreciative to be able to see that we did take care of our staff, our different unions, our different contracts. And even it would have been very easy to say, hey, you know what, we have a deficit, we're not giving any COLAs this year. That would have been a very easy scapegoat step. But to see that we were very intentional of making sure, when I say we, I mean you and your staff, and HR and Mr. Mathers and company, but to make sure that we took care of our staff who are taking care of our kids and who are making all these positive numbers. It's all a collaborative effort, It's all connected. It's all connected. So we appreciate the comprehensive approach that you've had with this strategic plan. and this mid-year report is all positive. You know, we got to stay grounded because it can't stay forever +2, +6, +1, plus, you know. So we'll be ready when it comes, but it's amazing, and we're grateful, and we really are. And I'm just really happy that we're able to keep these clubs and take care of our staff, because they're the lowest paid educated individuals in this community. I mean, that's just a fact. That's the truth. But we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
JJ, do we have any public comment for item 3.02?
Bruce Parks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Parks.
Thank you. I'd just like to start off by saying, Superintendent, I certainly hope you're under no delusion about how to address the discipline problems. I'm speaking here as a private citizen, by the way. I need you to know that as long as you maintain your restorative justice policies, you will never, not in this lifetime, effectively address the problems with discipline in the school district. For simple reason being, the perpetrators know that there's no real consequences, if ever, or very few, and it probably won't happen to them. The victims are reluctant to come forward, and how much of this goes unreported, you have no idea. I do. You don't hear about a lot of it. Staff is afraid of retaliation. Students are afraid of retaliation. The majority of it you don't know about. But again, you get rid of restorative justice and implement some real teeth into your discipline policies, then you'll see absolutely positive, monumental change in the discipline structure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parks.
The board received an email from Marcia Kunin.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring us back to the board. Item 3.02. Superintendent, great work. We're proud of you. Keep climbing. This is an action item. There's no further comment. I'm willing to take a motion.
I'll go ahead and make that.
Trustee
So
Phoenix.
I move that the Board of Trustees accepts the mid-year targets update from Superintendent Ernst.
Second.
Okay. I got a motion from Trustee.
Thanks for watching.
From Trustee Phoenix on 3.02, with a second by Trustee Nicolette to accept the mid-year targets update from Superintendent Ernst. Seeing any further discussion? Yes.
Oh, no, I was
okay.
right.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. And our last general business item is item 3.03. Presentation, possible action to provide preliminary approval of the proposed revisions of Board Policy 9300. With us is Kirk Starkey, our Chief Internal Auditor, and Sarah Montalvo, our Chief General Counsel. So welcome. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Mayberry, members of the board, and Superintendent Ernst. Kirk Starkey, Chief Internal Auditor for the record. For this item, we're seeking preliminary approval of the proposed revisions to Board Policy 9300. This policy governs the district's Report Fraud, Waste, and Abuse hotline program, which the Internal Audit Department administers. The hotline program offers a mechanism for anybody in the community to report perceived incidences of waste, fraud, and abuse to our department for investigation. This policy is first adopted back in 2021, and after a few years of operating the program, it seemed like time to refine the policy, to update definitions, clarify some language, and incorporate current practices. First, I'll run through a couple of the more significant proposed revisions. Starting on page 1 are the definitions. After we reviewed several accounting industry standard setting bodies such as the Governmental Accounting Office, the Institute of Internal Auditors, and the Public Companies Accounting and Oversight Board. We attempted to synthesize their definitions that they use in this area, and I think you'll find that these have been improved, and especially the fraud definition has been, I think, is much more manageable right now, the way it's edited. Next, on page 3 of the proposed revisions, there's two changes I want to point out under, let's see, a Roman numeral 4 there. This one requires the complainant to actually have actual firsthand knowledge of the complaint that they're submitting, the subject matter. They should have firsthand knowledge of that. Secondly, under Roman numeral 6, this item is basically to help alleviate some of the forum shopping that can occur in this area. People can file complaints in one area of the organization under certain facts and circumstances and then turn around and file it with our office with trying to obtain different results or different outcomes. These type of multiple filings, they can result in confusion and sometimes different results. Those are the biggies. The other proposed edits are mainly related to basically clarifying policy language and just refining some of the current practices we have. And at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
And if Sarah Montalvo with the Office of General Counsel, if I could just briefly add, as Kirk mentioned, a lot of these are really how we are collaborating together in practice with the Office of the Internal Audit. And we just wanted to document that because in the past there were times where if, for example, a complaint was filed with audit, and it may fall into the realm of the legal office, specifically like a Title IX cause of action where we would need our Title IX officer to review that and follow the necessary Title IX steps. If we didn't have that collaboration that we currently share, then our office may not get that and we may miss required steps according to the law regarding reporting and contact and things like that. While Kirk obviously does a fantastic job with that collaboration, we wanted to make sure it was documented in the policy as well.
Okay. You're good? Trustee Nicolette.
Yes. I think you answered my question. I see the word split, can be split or split 4 times. And did you just address my wonderment about what split means?
Yes, that was contemplating, and Kurt, you can also elaborate on this as well, is some of these matters that we have seen will be sometimes within a legal realm and sometimes within a financial realm that his office, so he would take the financial aspect and we would take the legal side of the investigation. So it really contemplates that Kurt, as in his ultimate discretion, as receiving the complaint, if he believes that it's more within his realm, he can split it to the issues that really are more targeted for an audit, and then the remainder of it can be investigated into the other matters for the specific department that it really more aligns to.
Thank you.
Trustees, Superintendent Ernst.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say thanks to both of you, Kirk, particularly with your leadership that you have in the internal audit department, the approach that you apply, the collaboration that you have with all of our departments, and the meticulous work you do when you're looking into different situations. So I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you, Ms. Montalvo, as well, for updating and making these changes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I second that. Thank you.
Agree.
I'm going to go to public comment real quick. Do you have any public comment on item 3.03?
I have no cards for this
Okay,
item.
we'll take it back to the board. Any further discussions? Yes, Trustee Smith.
No, I'm just ready to make a motion.
Make it.
And before I do that, I think that this was really well done, and I think that this will also provide very important clarifications to the public so they understand how to engage in this process in the best way. So very, very well done. With that said, I move that the Board of Trustees provides a preliminary approval of the proposed revisions to Board Policy 9300, reporting of fraud, waste, or abuse, and initiates the 13-day public review and comment period.
Do I have a
Second.
Okay, we got a second. All right, we have a motion by Trustee Smith to approve item 3.03 and a second by Trustee Nicolette. Seeing no further comments, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. That concludes our business and action items. We're going to move on to item 4, reports. However, I do know there are some folks here in the room that are going to provide public comment, so I'd like to give them the time to do that now. So I'm going to move item 5.01, public comment, up before we have our reports. Comments from the public are invited at this time. You have a limit of 3 minutes. And JJ, I'll turn to you for the names.
Diana Saldivar.
Okay. Is Diana here?
She
Okay.
might have left. Bruce Parks.
Mr. Parks, okay.
Bobby K. Clark.
Good afternoon.
Short person. Hello, my name is Bobby K. Clark, and I decided to come here to thank you. I wrote things down so I wouldn't go over my 3-minute limit time. I wanted to thank you for teaching my kids to think how to think instead of what to think. All of my kids attended Washoe County School District, and those AP classes were so good for them. They were so important to them. They had a wonderful AP Gov teacher who gifted them pocket constitutions. My kids literally put them in their pockets and their backpacks. They took them everywhere, even to a Niners game. Teens can get mouthy. When my oldest was getting really sassy, I got mad and I looked at him and I said, "Pipe down, little man." And my youngest whipped out his pocket constitution and said, "Mom, you are violating his First Amendment rights." Oh, I sighed. I said, "Let me use my First Amendment rights to rephrase. If you speak with respect, I will respond with respect." Washoe County School District helped me be a better parent, and I'm really grateful to you for that. And my youngest kid, he went to UNR and majored in poli-sci. He is living an hour and a half from Washington, D.C. He is the president of his local PTA where my grandkids go to school. And he's kicking around the idea of running for city council in the next 2 years. And I want you to know you changed my kids' lives. And I'm so grateful to all of you for doing the boring work, because this looks boring to me, of making our kids and our community's lives so much better. Our district taught my kids that their voice matters. This is one of the reasons you, all of you, matter so much to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Megan Manguso.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here to comment today as a parent in the district to ask for your help and support in addressing new policies at Roygam Elementary and possibly other schools affecting the social and emotional well-being of students on a day-to-day basis. At Roygam, the administration has instituted no play before school, counter to all other elementary schools in our area and counter to extensive research about the benefits of movement and play for learning. Administration has also continued to cut recess down to the bare minimum of 30 minutes, sparking a student-led petition and then a strong effort by parents to claw back some of that time. Administration promised to review the schedule to maximize recess while meeting instructional minutes and duty requirements, and then reneged on that promise, cutting morning recess from primary students 6 and 7 years old for the first time in decades. Finally, they now force students to only face forward in the lunchroom while eating, facing the back of students' heads instead of face-to-face in a traditional communal fashion. One of only 5 of the 66 schools in the district to do this. We have put together a survey to gather parent preferences and concerns on these issues, and I would like to share the results with the board. We have over 115 responses with 90% plus concerned and wanting changes. We need your help. Additionally, none of these changes were communicated to families, and when informed, many are extremely concerned. When you tell anyone really, they make a strange face and often reference it sounding more like a prison than a school. It's embarrassing. We have robust volunteer involvement at GOM. We've tried collaborating, as district staff have recommended, but the school administration has refused. We believe in collaborating is vital to make our school succeed to its fullest potential. History of the school proves that. Principal Barker always touts a courageous, connected community at Roy GOM, but she was not courageous enough to inform us of these changes or collaborate with us on concerns about them. That is not community. She calls our students scholars, but they are merely children who want to connect with their peers and enjoy learning together. These policies, like banning slides, quietly but collectively take a toll. It's killing the joy of school, which can have long-term effects on their academic success, and very possibly enrollment decline, absenteeism at the school and the district. It is also important to note that the greatest masterminds of the world today, the leaders of industry, are saying the need for jobs will be eliminated by technology in the next 10 to 15 years. That could be a Jetson hovercraft sort of assumption, but if they are correct, the only thing that their education will have been able to provide of value would be the opportunities they had learning how to connect with each other and work together to solve problems and build community, not only in the classroom, but organically and autonomously without over-involvement of adults in the lunchroom and on the playground. Okay. These are formative childhood experiences.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Sandy Tibbet.
Good afternoon, Ms. Tibbetts.
Hello. So I am here as a grandmother whose family was impacted by your decisions, or lack thereof, regarding the anti-ICE protests. In President Mayberry's email to me, he claimed the issue does not violate Board Policy 1310 because the political activity does not take place on school grounds. That is a disingenuous, hair-splitting statement that insults the intelligence of every parent and taxpayer in this district. The protests did not magically appear off campus. They originated right here in our schools. At McQueen, students were invited via flyers to meet in Miss Kretz's art room during school hours to make propaganda posters and plan their walkout. That is political activity on district property during school operations, which is in district violation of Board Policy 1310. Administrative Regulation 1311 further bans the use of district resources and the distribution of political materials. Yet teachers and staff allowed it, facilitated it, and the district did nothing about it. You hide behind the First Amendment while selectively enforcing rules. You've gavelled community members out this very mic for simply reading from the nasty books our district permits in our libraries. But when it comes to organized political activism that pulls kids out of class and into potential danger, suddenly free speech trumps your own policies and student safety. Your email also suggested parents should be the ones concerned if kids leave school, invoking parental choice. That's not leadership. That's shirking responsibility. You have legal custody of our children during school hours. You are obligated to keep them safe, not enable their participation in unexcused, disruptive, and risky off-campus protest. What you allowed was child endangerment. Students walking into traffic, hanging out of car windows, gathering in crowds downtown, all while you marked absences and called it civic engagement. No one was seriously injured, thank God, but the risk was real and you prioritized politics over protection. This wasn't innocent student voice. It was grooming kids to become radical activists for one side of a divisive issue, using our schools as staging grounds. You subverted parents' rights, you've eroded trust and jeopardized safety, and for what? To appease certain agendas while pretending neurality. Remember last month's discussion on Policy 5800 and the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission? Trustee Westlake spoke of great optics to build public trust that you take student safety to heart. What hollow and misleading words. These current optics reveal a district more interested in appearing progressive than in actually safeguarding kids or upholding your own rules. Your actions have consequences. My stepdaughter is pulling my granddaughter out of this system because she no longer trusts you with her child's well-being. That's sad. Very sad.
Thank you.
Political consequences. Suicide.
Janet Butcher.
pass them out? Oh, okay. I thought, I would like them to look at it too. Thank you very much. Don't have to mean mug me. Janet Butcher for the record. Boy, that kind of threw me off getting mean mugged. Janet Butcher for the record. Please enter my comments and document into the public record. I sent the attached to all of the trustees and the superintendent. I did not receive any response from any of the trustees. I did receive a canned response from a representative for the superintendent. Washoe County missed a very good opportunity to instruct the students on how laws are created, how they are implemented, and the proper way in which they are changed. The students were not just allowed to participate, but it appears that they were encouraged by those responsible for their care during school hours. When did education morph into indoctrination, much like Hamas is engaged in, using children? Some students were unruly, yelling, cursing, and interfering with traffic. Some students waved the Mexican flag. How can they expect to gain any respect? Having come from a long line of great-great-great-great-grandparents who fought for the Revolutionary War, fought in the Civil War, fought in every single war throughout this country. A former husband who was wounded in Vietnam. It infuriates me that we don't follow our laws. The public debate over immigration enforcement is currently defined by a fundamental and misunderstanding of federal authority. We must bridge the gap between slogans and status. To understand the warrants, you must first understand the agency structure. ICE has two primary divisions with distinct missions. The law did not change between Obama and Trump administrations, only the political will to follow it did. ICE does not need a judge's signature for a public arrest. If you do not like the statute, change it, but do not pretend that local sanctuary slogans can override the supreme law of the land. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butcher.
Adrienne Connolly.
Good afternoon, Ms. Connolly.
Good afternoon. I'm switching things around. My name is Adrienne Conley, and I have been a kindergarten teacher in Washoe County for 23 years, so I'm here to talk about kindergarten screening week. I don't know about you guys, but I remember my first day of kindergarten. My mom was a single working parent, and she dropped me off and had to leave for work, and this is, back in the day. And I remember standing by a chain link fence, watching her walk away, and I was sobbing hysterically. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I know an adult came and helped me, but that's not what I remember. What I remember to this day is standing alone in a strange place, crying. That memory is why Kindergarten Assessment Week matters. Assessment Week is not just about taking the kindergarten entry assessment. It's when we meet families, hear concerns, and gather critical information we often don't have yet. IEPs that haven't arrived, speech needs that require parent permission to assess, or family circumstances that impact how a child enters school. For some families, this is the only time we ever speak with them in person. Their child either rides the bus or is picked up by a sibling, and parents maybe cannot or just will not attend conferences. It's also when we find out how their child is getting home. Are they taking the bus? Are they being picked up by a sibling? Are they being picked up by a grandparent? It's also when we help children feel safe, showing them where to go, helping them meet classmates, and making school feel predictable before academic expectations begin. I understand other counties don't have assessment week and that NDE is encouraging alignment, What's important to recognize, though, is that any model needs to fit our district's realities, class sizes, staffing, family access, and student needs. Before adopting a new approach, it's critical to understand how assessments, placements, and family communication are handled in practice, not just on paper. But I don't come empty-handed. I do have solutions. One option is half-day kindergarten for the first 4 days with assessments conducted the other half by classroom and EL teachers. Another option is rotating classrooms during those first few days with one teacher screening and the others with routines and procedures to allow for appropriate placement while assessments continue. In both cases, class lists are finalized by Thursday and Friday becomes their first full day. However this is ultimately structured, my request is simple. Please involve the kindergarten teachers in the process. We are boots on the ground. We understand child development, family needs, and the realities of the kindergarten classroom. Kindergarten is not just the first year of school, it sets the tone for everything that follows.
Thank you for your comments. We do appreciate you coming and sharing that, your perspective. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for what you're doing.
Shelley Luke.
Good afternoon, Ms. Luke.
Good afternoon. I am just a parent of a first grader who I'm going to follow along with Ms. Conley regarding the kindergarten assessment. I know my daughter had gone to preschool. She was still very nervous that first day walking into kindergarten. We were able to do the assessment the week prior. That helped her to see the classroom, meet 2 of the kindergarten teachers. So she chose her cubby. So she knew a little bit about, oh, hey, look, they have this, they have that. So the first day of kindergarten, when I dropped her off, I walked her up, expecting to go in with her, expecting tears. She turned around, bye, Mom, because she knew the week prior she would ask me again and again, what's my teacher's name again, Mom? Oh, yeah, I like her. So she had that little bit. Many of our kindergartners, especially in this day and age, daycare is so outrageously priced. Many of these little ones have never been to a daycare, to a preschool. They've been left with a family member. So they don't even know what to expect. When we say, oh, you're a big girl now, you get to go to big girl school, they can't even conjure a picture in their head of what that entails. As adults, we would never expect to walk into a job not knowing who we work for, where we're going, and what's expected of us. But that's what we're asking of these children when they've never even had an opportunity to meet someone. Another thing that pops into my head is it's kind of creating an inequity for the teachers. By not screening these children first, one kindergarten teacher may end up with 15, for lack of a better word, lower level learners. The children who need more of your attention, more of your time. Another teacher may end up with all of your higher ones who can read at a 3rd grade level going in. That's not equitable for the teachers when they're graded on their job performance. So I would just ask that we give these children the same grace that we would like. We want to know a little bit about what our job expectation is before we go in. We kind of need to do that with these children. Let them see the classroom at least, just a couple minutes. I'm not opposed to them starting the same day as all of the 1st grade, 2nd graders, but let them have that little evaluation first. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Shelley Salas.
Good afternoon, Ms. Sales.
Good afternoon. My name is Shelley Sales. I have taught kindergarten for nearly 40 years, and I am here to advocate for keeping the first week of school as a structural screening adjustment period. Picture a child arriving on the very first day of school. When separated from his parent, he becomes so distressed he could not participate in screening. Later that same week, after a time to adjust, he returns calm, confident, fully engaged, and with his brave backpack on his back. The child did not change. The environment did. The difference shows why timing matters. The first week allows students to meet teachers, explore classrooms, and interact with peers while screening occurs. This gives educators a more accurate picture of readiness, not just academic skills, but also social development, communication, emotional regulation. This time is also critical because some students enter kindergarten without finalized, updated, or fully accurate IEPs. Early screening helps teams identify student needs quickly, determine appropriate placement, and decide whether additional supports or services are required. When we delay or rush this process, we risk placing students incorrectly and delaying the interventions they need to succeed. Many kindergarten students are entering school for the first time. Without an adjustment period, anxiety can distort results and lead to poor instructional decisions. When we get the start right, we prevent challenges later. This is not lost instructional time. It's an investment. It improves data quality, supports equity, strengthens relationships, and ensures students receive the right support from the very beginning. I make a lot of my connections with my parents in that first week. And I have families that I've had all of their children. When you're in the same place for over 30 years, that kind of happens. So these relationships would not occur as readily and as deeply as they do if I did not have that first week to form those connections with my families. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you coming out.
Danelle Duncan.
Good afternoon, Ms. Duncan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, my name is Danelle Duncan. I'm coming here to talk to you guys today as a parent. And as someone whose child had the benefit of kindergarten screening week, that week really mattered to my son. It gave my son's teacher the chance to truly get to know him before the school year even began, not just as a new student, but as a whole child. His personality, how he approached learning, where he felt confident, and where he might need extra support. It also gave us as parents the space to share where we were connected, where we were concerned, where he might struggle. That early understanding made a real difference in how he entered school and in the confidence he had walking into that classroom. That screening week also mattered for us as a family. It opened the door to real communication right away. I felt included, informed, and encouraged to be involved, not after a problem showed up, but from the very beginning. It created a sense of trust. I felt safe leaving my child in the hands of the school and his teacher, and I felt like we were part of a community working towards the same goal. This was really huge in my choice to stay with a public school versus going to homeschool or going to a charter school. This is the reason my son is still in a public school, is because of those connections that I built that week. When schools take the time to understand students early, teachers are able to be more effective. They can be more intentional about classroom placement, supports, and learning environments, matching students with teachers, peers, and settings where they're more likely to succeed. That benefits everyone, including the teachers who are trying to do their jobs well. Because of that strong start, my son felt supported academically and emotionally. As he's grown, those early relationships have continued to support him and me as a mom. He's become more independent and more confident, and over time he has needed fewer supports, and they continue to be needed less and less as he progresses in his school years. But because he was prepared and understood, not because his needs disappeared, I want to be clear with that. His needs are still there, but he has always felt supported, and he has always felt prepared, and he still feels understood. Taking away screening week doesn't just remove an assessment. It removes early connection, it removes shared understanding, and it shifts schools and families from being proactive to being reactive. I didn't fully understand how important that week was at the time, but I do see it now and I understand it fully now. I've seen what the first week can do. My son benefited from it, and I'm here because I want every child, every teacher, and every family to have that same chance at the best possible start that they can. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for coming.
Cliff Nellis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nellis.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I just thought I'd come down, do a few comments. I heard about this this ICE walkout, and supposedly it was not orchestrated by the teachers or admin. Was it? Does anyone know? I think it was. I think it's really a serious situation that we have communist revolutionaries running our education system. When you resist the law, when you're going against the law, encouraging students to resist the law, go against the law, you're trying to set up a new system of government, you're trying to influence the children. What else are you guys doing inside the schools? You know, pushing all kinds of other agendas. Are you pushing the gay agenda? Do you have rainbow flags in the hallways? What about this Rule 5161? We need to rescind that. It says you can't tell the parents about what you're really teaching the kids. You know, you're turning tranny, trying to turn the kids tranny or whatever, you know. I mean, that needs to be rescinded. There's just a bunch of stuff that's really wrong with the schools that needs to be changed, and we need to start working on this. We need to really start educating the kids. We need to start enforcing the rules, enforcing truancy. There has to be discipline. And if you're going to let the religion of the woke in, why don't we let the Christian religion in so we can teach them the laws of Moses, biblical morality, like not cheating, not lying, not having sexual relations in the bathrooms, things like that. And I have a lot of other concerns too, like, you know, we got like a 40% increase with that WC1, and okay, so where's the money? Are you guys spending that extra $400 million a year, or are you selling bonds? Like, have you already spent it all for the next 15 to 30 years? I'm wondering. You know, there's a guy named Mitch Fexler. He talks about the property tax thing. It's a nationwide problem where they have overvalued people's homes and then increased property tax to fund the schools. So I'm not sure if that's going on here. I want to look into that and find out if the bond salesman is obligating us, property owners, if our houses are in hock, to an education system that's really totally failing us and pushing an ideology that is contrary to the American way, our tradition and our beliefs, everything we believe in. And, you know, this whole thing, this land acknowledgement thing that Ms. Smith was doing, I don't know if you guys are still doing that. You know what's happening up there in Canada? That precedes land confiscation. That's what's happening in Canada. So we know it's all a bunch of baloney, more communist revolutionary crap. And I just don't like it. But thank you for listening to me, everybody. And yeah, let's move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce Parks.
Am I last, JJ? Well, thank you. For the record, Bruce Parks, chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party, and I'm here today because I want to thank this board for making it so much easier for me to get good conservative Republicans elected this next election cycle. I really appreciate your help and your support there. How did you do that? By condoning the student walkout. That was great. Really helped me out a great deal. Even though it was a violation of your own policy 1310, and I know it was lauded as a exercise in civics education, and we're teaching our students how to utilize their First Amendment. We all know that's not the case. This is indoctrination, pure and simple. More importantly, is indoctrination against law enforcement. You're teaching our students to openly advocate against law enforcement. Now, who would do something like that? Well, obviously, it's part of the leftist agenda. And we have no shortage of those people in our school district. In fact, the vast majority of our school district is made up of people with that agenda. However, sad fact is, because we don't focus on the fundamentals of education in the Washoe County School District, as evidenced by the literacy rates, the abysmal numbers of math proficiency, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. There's a reason why Nevada is last in the country for education, and Washoe County School District contributes to that. Sad fact is that not only could some of those students not even read the word, but I wonder how many of them could actually tell you what the acronym ICE even stands for. If students know your politics, your religion, your sexual preferences, or your preferred pronouns, you have failed as a teacher, and you do not belong in front of students, period. But again, thank you. You made my job a whole lot easier, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Diana Saldivar. The board received emails from Caitlin Duffy and Richard Peterson.
Thank you, JJ. Okay, we will close item 5.01, public comment. We'll go back to our reports. Our student representative had to leave early. I think she had a semifinal basketball game that she's participating in, so we wish her and the teams the best of luck. We'll go into item 4.02, board reports. We'll start with Vice President Woodley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to start off with my New Year resolution is I'm going to take this opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate individual students and teachers and partners in education in my district. So the first one we have here is a photo of Poetry Out Loud. That's a competition that we have throughout the district with all the different schools. This year was McQueen High School. There was over a dozen kids. I can't remember all the names, but we had a first and second place winners, and they were really, really good. It was beautiful to watch these kids read poetry with so much animation. It was a beautiful event. And this, they actually every year, a church in the area in my district, Grace Church, hosts for McQueen High School. So we're appreciative for their partnership in education. Then here is a student from McQueen High School. This is Maya Hickman. She's the one checking out the ball under the basket. She's someone that I knew many, many years ago when she was just a little kiddo, a shy little kid, and now she's a sophomore at McQueen High School playing on JV, and she's so bright and shining. I'm just very appreciative of how our community has helped this young lady become such a bright, shining star. It was beautiful to watch. And then lastly, just wanted to share, once again, partner in education. I want to acknowledge Grace Church off of Robb Drive. They raised $628,000 in change for our new Washoe Behavioral Health Center with focus for behavioral health for the population of children between the ages of 5 and 18, which is our children. Those are the children that we serve in our schools. So I'm really grateful that we have such a great partner in education doing this for our kids. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
I am foregoing my report for a little something we're going to do when Adam gets to when President Mayberry gets to his report, just so we can save some time for that.
Sure. Very well. Thank you. Trustee Westlake.
Thank you. Mine is very short. I had the opportunity to be in Mexico with most of my 9 grandkids, and it was just, you got to be around the littles to really recharge your battery and understand what it's all about. And then I want to do a shout out and congratulate a teacher at one of my schools, Catherine Dunn Elementary, Mrs. De Leon. She won my donut challenge for her class in the fight against absenteeism. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And I did get to meet with one of my colleagues, Trustee Smith, Dr. Wakefield, and what an amazing individual. I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down, having a discussion, or not, it was with, sorry, Christine. A lot of times I do stuff with Beth on these meetings, but it was with Trustee Clerk Hull, and it was very, very informative, and he's a remarkable individual, and really was attentive and wanted to hear what we have to say, and that was really nice. So now I am done. Thank you.
So I want to recognize the leadership and staff from Turning Point. I've been making my rounds there, led by Principal Claudia Basek. Go ahead. I think that's how you say it. Whose work supports students who benefit from our alternative and credit recovery pathways. Turning Point plays a critical role in WCSD's continuum of support by focusing on student re-engagement, attendance improvement, and graduation readiness through smaller learning environments and individualized supports. This work directly aligns with the district's priorities around equity, student engagement, and improving graduation rates. So, again, up there, kudos to that school there. And then I also went to Marva Piccolo. I finally went over there and made it, making my rounds, led by Principal Jody Prudente, I believe that's how you say it, and her staff, again, the staff, without them helping making things happen, which serves students in a highly individualized pre-K-12 with a strong emphasis on functional academics, independence, and personal growth with small class sizes and intensive supports. Marva Piccolo emphasized WCSD's commitment to meeting students where they are and ensuring access to meaningful education opportunities. So again, just making my rounds there, and kudos to them. So shout out goes to those principals and the staff for doing so. I also went to the, where am I here? We the People Championship. So thank you very much for that. Again, my second go around, and learned a bunch interacting with the people that were there, and had an opportunity to watch and then see those families and their dedication. The students participate, and the coaches and the staff, but the families that back them up. This is like, we're going to the Super Bowl, and they are on it, and I love it, and I can't wait to go back again to do that. I also attended the EDAWN, EDAWN State of the Economy event in Reno, which emphasized regional workforce trends and the need to align K through 12 education, career, CTE, and work-based learning in Nevada's involvement economy and the demand. So again, it was a good week for me this time to get out there and get some engagement, get back in there, and go to all these specialty schools, I call them, so that I learn more about what we have here in the district. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Smith.
All right, before my time starts, okay, there we go. Now we got this up. So, super funnest thing ever. I was so honored to be an official for the Choral Academy Guinness World Record attempt, which as of today was confirmed out of London, is an official Guinness World Record. 486 of their students were the most people reciting a foundational legal text simultaneously. I know there were 468 of them because Sparks City Councilman Paul Anderson and I counted every single one of them for the Guinness organization. It was genuinely so fun, and you can also see that we were joined by some other local officials too. That was so great. I really enjoyed the Bright Spots and Opportunity conversation with Nevada State Superintendent Victor Wakefield. That was really a neat thing, and I appreciate him taking the time to do that. I participated with the Worcester Student Safety Committee with Chief Baker, Chief Zimmerman, and Deputy Chief Diamond. That was really great to hear directly from our students about what it is they need. The Trustee Appreciation Breakfast with Sparks Middle School was fantastic. Thank you so much to them for doing that for us each year. The next picture we have up here is the We the People State Finals. Congratulations to Incline, Reno, and Reed. Incline and Reno took first and second, and they will be moving on to nationals. So, and you can also see Clerk Christine Hull here in her element with the Nevada Center for Civics Education. I also spoke with the Reno High AP Government class last week. The next one's the video that we have here. There we go. Let's go ahead and play this. Yeah, that is Superintendent Ernst, Deputy Superintendent McMaster, and I revving up that hand crank. I want one here for the boardroom. And that was for the When I Grow Up UNR women's basketball game, sponsored by the Redfield Foundation, who I have requested of the superintendent and the president to see if maybe they can do one of the tours on our community engagement items with us. It was so amazing. I had never been to one of those games, and now I will for sure be back. I participated in a Gwynn Center Policy Forum, met with a group of Jessie Beck parents, and then also participated in the National News Literacy Week, the PBS documentary Trust Me, and I was also joined by Dr. Kristen McNeil, of course, and then that group is also being led by Jody Bedden-Ruggiero, one of the previous trustees of this board. And then last but not least, the EDON State of the Economy. And then, so we've got Vice President Woodley and I there. We were also joined by President Mayberry and Trustee Phoenix, but really, really great time learning about our community and getting some accurate information. Thank you.
Sorry about that. To many of you, this building will look familiar. It's the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. I'm with some of my colleagues. You can see me, and then in the forefront there is Brenda Zamora, Clark County School District, and to her right, or her left, is Irene Bustamante Adams. She's the president for the Nevada Association of School Boards, and then Catherine Whitaker. She's a trustee out of Churchill, and she's on the board of directors for the National School Board Association. And we were in Washington for an advocacy meeting and to meet our House representatives, and the four of them, and then our two senators. Next one, please. And then this then, as I just wanted you to see, the same people and the Capitol. And it was really, I believe, a pivotal time, because it was when we were looking at Homeland Security, and there were votes going on all the time between the two, the House and the Senate, and it was a little breathtaking because it was so very busy. And I will say that the staffers are young, and I mean young. I am 73, and I guess that most of them were probably, the oldest was 32, and these kiddos were sharp. They knew what was going on. They were very attentive. They wanted to know how we felt as Nevadans and what we feel that we need for our students and our staff and our families. I attended the Sparks Middle School Board Appreciation Breakfast. It was filled with student speeches, student band and musicians, and we had a light breakfast and a school tour that the students provided for us. And then last but not least, I am going to talk about one of my favorite sports. I grew up in North Dakota and Minnesota. And just so you know, the doubles team, now I'm not sure what happened today. Last I knew they were behind 3-4 for the gold. Did they lose? Oh, okay, they got silver. They got silver. So Corey and Corey, they received silver for the curling, for the mixed doubles. And I will say that I just think that this is very interesting, and I want to share it, because the curling stones or rocks that they use, they come from an island off of Scotland, and the island is this big hill that truly is granite. And in the Olympics, this is the only stones that they will use, is this granite, because it's 100% granite. I know this is so interesting. 100% granite, which means it's impervious to water when you're doing curling and you're brushing to make water so it's impervious to water. And just so you know, if you want to try curling, there is a curling club in Tahoe called Tahoe Epic Curling. And I'm thinking that maybe as trustees, in order to have some training to learn cooperation, we'll give it a try.
Okay, thank you so much. More than I ever thought I'd know about curling. Thank you. So colleagues, I'm going to just hit the pause button for a moment, talking with General Counsel, getting some counsel. I know, as you know, we had public comment earlier because we had a few folks here. I wanted to make sure that they were heard and didn't have to wait through our board reports and the explanation of curling. But I do believe we have some folks that came in that do want to provide public comment. So normally I would not allow it since we've heard the item, we've passed, but I'm going to make an exception just one time on advice of counsel. So we're going to take it back to public comment. And JJ, if you can provide the names and feel free to come on up, and you have 3 minutes.
Susan Skinner, Amanda Todd, and Jenny Anna.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you so much. This is, I think, the first time we've ever made it, and we appreciate your time. So we wanted to make sure our voices were heard. We are educators in our school district. We teach kindergarten. As mentioned, I am Susan Skinner. I have to take off my glasses. I'm sorry. I've been a teacher with Washoe County School District for 27 years, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves, and then I will primarily be speaking. And I know we have 3 minutes. Yeah.
Would you like to do this in 3 minutes increments? You can do that.
You know what? Okay, I'll just go for it. Don't mind me, I am going to read off so I don't.
That would be better, yeah.
Yes. My name is Susan Skinner. I've been a teacher for 27 years. This is Amanda Todd, a K teacher for 18 years, and Jenny Avina, a K teacher for 12 years. As kindergarten teachers with 28 students each, we are so disappointed in our district's decision to eliminate the kindergarten screening week. Most K teachers who we have spoken with feel just as blindsided and underappreciated as we do. We truly wish our district officials would have spoken with those of us in the classroom each day, sorry, I lost my spot, who have backgrounds and years of experience in early childhood. We would have been happy to assist in the difficult decision-making process, and we are positive that K teachers from across our school district could have come up with a much better range of options to consider. Instead, K teachers, our youngest learners, and our families will now face a much more difficult start to our school year. Yes, the entry assessment for kindergarten changed this year statewide, and much can be observed in class. But there is absolutely no way that we can get a good grasp of each child's beginning baseline knowledge with such large class sizes during the first 1 to 2 months of school. In addition, at Bohatch Elementary School, we only have one kindergarten assistant who is shared among the 5 of us. During the first 6 to 8 weeks of school, it is safety, classroom routines, and behavior management that must take precedence. And there are some students who show up to school crying every day for the first few weeks. Although learning is planned and intended from day one, and much does occur, the reality is that kindergarten classrooms at the beginning of the school year are overwhelming, exhausting, and emotional places for all involved. In fact, many of us kindergarten teachers truly question why we are still in kindergarten during those first few weeks. And the many professionals who have tried and left K would say it takes a special teacher to make a kindergarten classroom a successful one. With approximately 50% of our students never having been to any sort of daycare or preschool, our young learners have to learn how to line up. Is it already time? Okay, I apologize. Okay. Yes, you sure can. Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Would you like to speak? Are you guys?
We're back into
oh,
yes,
you
she's in
take it off. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Would you like us to stay, or I don't want to just walk out. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, we're gonna come back to board reports, and I believe I'm up. And I just very briefly, I do also want to acknowledge, thank the State Superintendent Wakefield for an opportunity to have with him. I think that shows real collaboration. I want to thank our own superintendent, Joe Ernst, for the partnership that he has embraced with the State Superintendent as well. I think that bodes well for the future of this district. So that's really all I wanted to say on that. I appreciate everybody's reports and the work that they're doing. What is coming to my mind here in the last few minutes is I want to honor the young man sitting next to my right, Neil Rombardo. He is, I don't think he knew this was coming, but I do want to have the privilege of recognizing and thanking him. This is his last board meeting as he prepares for retirement. I'm not sure it's a full retirement, but after 10 years, a decade of extraordinary service in the Washoe County School District, throughout his tenure, Neil has exemplified the very best of public service, bringing exceptional legal expertise, steady leadership, and an unwavering commitment to ethics, transparency, and doing what is right for our students, our staff, and our families. Under his guidance, the district strengthened compliance with state and federal law, advanced important policy reforms, and navigated complex and often unprecedented legal challenges, including those that were presented during the COVID-19 pandemic. His impact extends far beyond litigation. He's been a trusted advisor to all of us. He is at times tells us things that we don't want to hear, which I think we can appreciate in our elected capacities. He's been a very collaborative partner to the district leadership and a mentor to a lot of our administrators and legal staff, while always emphasizing integrity, fairness, and compassion. His work has helped foster safer schools, stronger governance, and greater trust within our community, and has dedicated his entire legal career to public service in our great state. His contributions have left a lasting mark on this district and throughout Northern Nevada, for that matter, and the community at large. And so, Neil, on behalf of the board, thank you for your leadership, your professionalism, your deep commitment to our students and educators. We wish you the very best as you begin this well-earned next chapter. And Clerk Hall took up a collection from all of us, and so we have a gift card that will allow you to take us all to dinner. But we truly will miss you, and we're grateful that you're, and I'm certainly grateful that you've been on the right seat and have served myself, President Smith, and all those before us. So those are my thoughts. More than happy to extend a little extra time to everybody if they want to pile on. So.
I'll chime in here real quick. Knowing what it's like to spend so many years in service, we deeply appreciate your hard work, Mr. Rombardo, and we hope that you move forward and enjoy yourself and give yourself some 8-hour sleeping nights and maybe even a 1-hour nap here and there. So congratulations.
Good. Go ahead, please.
I just want to wish you luck and in your endeavors that you're moving forward. I'm sure it's very well deserved, and I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, and I appreciate you always being. I mean, it didn't matter when I reached out. It was always a quick response and one that I could completely understand. So thank you.
So, Mr. Tiger, we started together, yeah, and thick and thin and fun and laughter and tears and fears, and I just want to say that I wish you the best. You're going to have a great time with where you're going, and I'm still waiting for that note from your kindergarten teacher and from your next door neighbor and from your doctor. So when I have those, you can officially leave.
So absolutely, congratulations. I remember meeting you when I was a tiny little baby new committee member on the Zoning Advisory Committee all those years ago. And I appreciate the ability to learn about OML, the way that you've represented the district so steadfast in all of its legal endeavors. And then you very much deserve this. And I'm glad that you're at a point in your life where you're able to truly go on and enjoy the next chapter.
Well said. Absolutely.
So I got into public sector work because I believe in what we do. I think the government is a huge success. I sit here and listen to people comment about our students, about you, about our teachers and our administrators. And I got into the public sector because I wanted to be a prosecutor, and I had a chance to do that for a long time. But these 10 years were the best. I never thought it would be educational law, but I'm proud to have represented all of you, our students, our families, and our 8,000 employees who work their butt off every day. I listen to these naysayers. That's not what I see. I see success, and that's because of your leadership and Superintendent Ernst and Superintendent McNeil and our fellow chiefs. So thank you all, and that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. God bless you. We appreciate you so much. You're a giant, and we're going to miss you. And I honor your words. Okay, it's going to be tough to beat. Superintendent Ernst, we're going to go to 4.03 for your report.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll go over a couple of quick items. We had the opportunity to go to the When I Grow Up event sponsored by the Redfield Foundation. Just an amazing, we got a quick glimpse of the video earlier, but just an amazing opportunity for our students, and we're really grateful for the Redfield Foundation for that. Also celebrated our Classroom Impact Award with second grade teacher Mary Wetcher from Maxwell Elementary School for all that she has done. The principal could not stop talking about everything that Mary has done in the district and beyond her classroom. And so each time that I get a chance to go out to schools, we're going to make sure that we keep celebrating our teachers because they're doing great things for our students. I, too, would like to join with a couple of closing comments as well for Mr. Rimbardo. Your leadership, your acumen, your counsel in many different situations has been handled with professionalism and always with the students' best interest in mind. And that's not easy when you're balancing so many different aspects. But that has kept us as a district on our true north, and we're appreciative of that counsel that you have been providing and leading within our legal team over the past 10 years. Your contributions, Neil, have been significant, and we're grateful for them, and I'm grateful as a superintendent to have worked alongside you in this position and previous positions. And simply wishing you the very best. It's well earned. And know that we wish you the very best with the next chapter of your life, knowing that big things are ahead in all kinds of different ways. But we offer our most sincere thank you and our gratitude on behalf of all the work you've done in Washoe County School District. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Superintendent Ernst. Item 5.02 is our next meeting announcement. We'll meet again on February 24th, 2026. In the meantime, I love you, 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 and I love you. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Have a wonderful couple of weeks, and we'll adjourn this meeting at 4:29. This is a record, 4:29.